S2K.
Yes.
So tell me about that. What'd you get? Like, was it just bone stock or is it modded?
So I bought it from the future production manager of Honda Canada.
Okay.
So I was looking for a really clean example, and I really wanted red. Didn't want to settle. And I found a guy with the red one. Really nice guy. Took the time to actually talk to me. We talked on the phone for like an hour. And when we were talking about the car, this yellow one came up. And the yellow one had like 30,000 kilometers less for $5,000 more. And I'm thinking, like it's probably a good clean example to look at. And I said, hey, I want to come down and take a look at it. Went down, took a look at it, drove it, and he was like very, very finicky, very, very particular about people that drive the car. So he clearly cared for it.
I understand that.
Yeah. Oh, everybody does. And everybody, and you know what? It's, I get it, because I was the same when I was looking at getting mine, selling my 1 Series. And, yeah, I drove it literally down the road. Didn't take it past 50, but I'm like, it's got 80,000 clicks. It was at that time when I bought it, 78. Doesn't matter. 80,000 clicks. And yeah, the guy was pretty cool about it, and he drove back and he knew what he had. And I'm good at selling,
but not so good at buying, showing your emotion. And
yeah, not good at buying, because you can read it on my face that I want something. And usually when I want something, I just buy it. I don't care
to negotiate back.
But I don't buy cars too often. I don't buy things that are this expensive too often. So I was like, well, I'm just trying to give things like, look, there's one with 30,000 kilometers out for $10,000 more. I think we're a little, far away in price, this and that. He's like, I got 2 guys looking. They're probably going to buy. I'm like, I'm just going to give you first right of refusal, this and that. I'm like, nah, I don't know about that. So then I tried to like play it cold and whatnot and cool. He knew I wanted it. Then he's like, listen, I'm not budging. Like the only thing, what did he say? He said the only thing, like I'll include everything I have with it, because I obviously won't need it. So he included a car cover from Honda. He included all of the, like, everything the car came with like the booklets and the service manuals and whatnot. But he also had, what's it called? He also had like this third-party cover, which is pretty cool, where you have to like unzip it, you drive over it, and then you zip it back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like
for winter storage, or
yeah. So, and then when I went to pick it up, like he had like that thick rubber padding in his garage, so you can tell like this guy was particular. And since the guy was working for future production of Honda Canada, I'm like, hey, are we gonna see a S2000 come out soon again? He's like, for a high production, high volume company to sell a low production car, why?
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But then I read an article the other day, 2024, they want to celebrate the anniversary for Honda by coming out with potentially a Honda S2000. But then, and I mean, feel free to chime in on this, I don't think it'll be anywhere as good. It'll be fast. It'll be faster.
It'll be, yeah, absolutely. It'll be much faster, and it'll have the technology and everything like that, but it won't have the same like spirit, if you will. It won't have the same energy. It won't be the same.
It's because everything's so regulated these days.
Oh, I know.
It's like safety, which is not a bad thing, but will it have a handbrake? Probably not.
No, it'll be electric. 100%.
It'll be an electric handbrake, right? Yeah. And then the steering response is going to be way too electric. You'll have a sport mode. Like, it won't be, turnkey drive, have fun. It will be turnkey and press a few buttons to customize your own way.
And it'll be fast, but you won't have the driving experience like you once did.
You'll still have a driving experience, but a different one.
Well,
it'll be different.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a purist.
Well, I mean, both of us are, I think. But,
Yeah. I don't like traction control, don't like ABS.
No.
Just the base car. I like it. I'll learn to drive around whatever difficulties that come up.
But I think
don't
that
like
we
the
grew up
assist.
with Japanese.
We did.
We grew up with Japanese. You had the 1 Series just as much, as well as I did, but my 1 Series was stock. Yours was not. Yours.
You mean my mom's car?
Yeah, your mom's car. Your mom's car shot flames.
Yeah. Yeah, she drove around with anti-lag and 400 horsepower. And
To the wheels?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was probably a little bit more. It was probably closer to 430 to the wheels with about 400 foot-pounds of torque.
What tires were you running?
Garbage. They were... yeah.
I remember now when we went to St. Thomas to...
Yeah, they were absolute garbage. They were the same tires that I got when I bought the car. They were Nankang NS2s or NS20s, I believe. I can't remember exactly what they were.
No need to be remembered.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they were garbage. I had every intention of putting on new wheels, better setup, suspension, and then I decided I want a Formula car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that car went to the wayside, and actually, Sam bought it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sam bought it. He enjoyed it. He loved that thing.
He did.
And he still misses it to this day. Because whenever I talk to him, he's like, yeah, I missed that 1 Series. I still miss mine. Like, that thing is...
That's...
It's one of those cars.
Excuse me. Yeah, to be honest, out of all the cars I've had, that'd probably be one of the top contenders for if I had to get a car back. Which one would it be? That's certainly up there. And, well, I've had a couple cool cars. So...
Let's name them off. What other cool cars did you have? You had a Troll car. That was probably one of my most memorable cars. You had an SRT Neon that you changed all the bumpers to just a regular Neon with a massive intercooler sticking out the front to make it look super stock.
No, that was actually completely stock. So
oh, really? You didn't?
Yeah.
I thought you changed the bumpers to troll people.
I didn't touch anything on that car other than just maintenance.
Oh,
so.
But you did.
And
you did.
It was
go fast in that thing.
Yeah, it was
I
relatively
remember
quick. It was kind of a piece of shit, to be completely honest.
Well, it is a Neon.
Yeah, it was really fast, and it was actually terrifying. I took my dad for a ride, and we did like 200 around a corner, like
in
racing.
Mexico.
Yeah, definitely in Mexico.
Yeah,
it was a nice road trip. Yeah, racing
you made it back in one piece in a Dodge, though. That's pretty cool.
I know, and actually surprisingly good fuel economy. Racing a WRX, and we come around the corner, and the whole thing's just shaking like it's going to fall apart any second. And the look on my dad's face, I will never forget. And he hasn't been in a fast car with me since. So.
And you had the super, super loud F1 sounding 350.
Yeah.
Z.
Yeah, made just an obnoxious exhaust for that.
Now, did you do the?
Yes, I made that exhaust.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I made that exhaust. I was bored at work one day, and I'm like, we have 3-inch stainless pipe. Let's make an exhaust. So,
how long did it take you to make?
3 or 4 hours.
That's not bad.
No, it wasn't anything special. We didn't have a pipe bender, so we were just doing like 45 cuts and stuff like that. I would have, if I had gone back and done it now, I would have done like really nice lobster tail, that kind of thing. But I didn't really care. The car was going to be a drift car, if anything. So, screw it. It's going to get beat up.
And then you had the R33 after that one?
Yeah. Should I go in order from the start?
Yeah, might as well go.
Now, should I include cars that are nothing special or just interesting cars?
If they're special or interesting to you, I mean, beauty is within the eye of its beholder, right? So.
Okay. So my first car I got when I was 15. It was nothing special at all, but I loved it. It was a 1990 Honda Civic DX hatch.
I think we all started with the Honda.
Yeah. So it needed some work. I bought it for $300. Started doing work on it. And I was 15. I didn't even have my license. So my mom, actually, no, I did drive it home because the guy happened to live just around the corner. So my mom's like, just drive it home. You don't need a license for that. You know how to drive. So drove it home.
Awesome mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My dad's the complete opposite. He's a safety guy. Doesn't like going fast. My mom loves it. She used to drive the 350Z all the time with the Ditch the Bitch, Let's Go Drifting sticker on it. She loved it.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god, I forgot I had that. I had that sticker on the
RSX
sunroof of my RSX.
Yeah, with the pedo sticker.
With a Peta Bear sticker on the back trunk. Oh my god, I remember that now. I totally forgot. But yeah, sorry. Right. Keep going.
Where was it? The Civic. So I had the Civic when I was 15. Had some issues with it. It needed some body work. Ended up just saying screw it. Got rid of it. Got a 2002 Impala. Nothing special. Had it forever though. Thing was a tank. First car I ever hit the governor on was when we were going camping, full of like 4 people, completely loaded, like sagged down. I'm like, I'm gonna max this thing out. So doing 178 down a back road just on the limiter, won't go any faster. So
Again, we love Mexico.
Yeah.
So we were in Mexico.
I'm actually a dual citizen.
There you go.
Yeah, so Mexican citizenship. So, had that thing. Where did I go after that? Had that for a while. Oh yeah, I got the Mark III Supra. Well, I still had that. So that was
Oh, you had a Supra?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, Mark III Supra. Bought it in Belleville. Drove it back home.
Left-hand drive?
Yeah, left-hand drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a 7. What is it? I don't even remember the engine designation anymore. Just the naturally aspirated 3-liter. So nothing special in it, but I did want to do the swap. I know maybe it was turbo. It was a North American car, so maybe they did come turbo. I don't recall. It definitely wasn't the 1JZ though. So if they came in the whatever the 7M GSE or something, I can't remember. But if they did come with a turbo, it possibly had a turbo, but blew the head gasket on the way home. So,
when you bought it?
Yeah, the day of, like me buying it and driving it back from Belleville. Blew the head gasket. That was a whole hassle getting it home, that kind of thing. Lots of CAA. Eventually got it home, and then we were going to make it into, between my friend and I, we were going to make it into a track car, just a project. And I ended up selling it to a friend. We just kind of lost interest in it. I did put a new head gasket on it. I don't know if we ever got it started after that. I kind of lost interest because while I had that car, I decided I wanted a nice street car, so I got the STI.
What year was this?
That was what year was it?
No, what year was the STI?
Oh, it was a 2007 STI with 20,000 K on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, full stage 3. It was like immaculate. So bought that when I was 19.
So wait, you bought it stage 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the worst financial decision of my life. If I had to go back, I probably would not do that again. But anyways.
Well, head gasket blown?
No, I didn't have any issues with it.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
Oh, it was just a bad buy.
Oh yeah, it was just like a lot of money. It was a $40,000 car when I was 19. Like,
it was that's what you mean. Because a lot of people, when they buy an STI, it's like repair wise.
No, I had absolutely zero issues with it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
because usually modded, Subis are just hard to deal with.
Yeah, and what I sell it at, I think it had 80 or 90,000 kilometers by the time I sold it. So,
oh wow, you put on a decent amount.
Yeah, I had it for 2.5 years. Probably one of the longest stretches I've had a car. Well, the same car. Yeah, no issues with it. It was just like a stupid buy. It was like
impulse.
No, I didn't. Well, yeah, probably a bit of impulse.
You're 19. Everything's an impulse buy.
Like I was making decent money at the time, that kind of thing, and like I'd never made money like that before in my life. And I'm like, well, I have no responsibilities, so why not?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like the $850 a month payments on it are like, well, that's pretty hefty. So for a car, well, and this is back when cars were still relatively decently priced as opposed to what they are today, because it seems like you can't get anything decent for under 50,000 now.
It's hard.
I know.
I mean, like anything under 50K would probably be Miata.
Yeah, like everything.
Like fun wise, if you're looking for speed,
exactly.
Who knows, dude?
Yeah. It seems like that's the new threshold, like minimum 50. It's crazy. I don't know.
If you're buying new, if you're buying used,
yeah.
you can definitely open up the floodgates. But
definitely, but like mine wasn't new or anything like that. Actually, I bought it from the guy who worked for the Toronto Raptors doing media.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, I bought it from him in Etobicoke, and then loved that thing. Had a lot of fun with it. Put a cutout on it. It just sounded like rolling thunder.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So went from that car. Oh yeah, I bought an Integra while I had it. Again, it was going to be another project. Ended up just like I stripped it apart.
Like a DC4 GSR?
Not a GSR, but it was a DC4. Stripped it down. I was going to do kind of full Type R conversion to it.
Yeah.
And then just found the frame had like a bunch of holes and stuff like that in it that I didn't catch originally or didn't see until I started really pulling the panels off. And I'm like, okay, forget this. Stripped it completely apart, parted everything out, sold it. So that thing, I don't even think I drove it on the road. So had that. Oh, I'm gonna forget some of my cars.
You had a lot of cars. A lot of
Yeah.
people that I talk to are proud owners of a number of cars. I mean, for me, it was just, Civic RSX 135 and WRX, and then now the the S2,
Yeah.
which is 5 in my entire.
I think I'm at 24.
Jesus, that list just keeps going.
Yeah, like I can't even remember. I can't remember all of them. So what are we at there? That's 4. And what this puts me at 21. Yeah, 21. I'm swear I'm gonna forget some. And then I bought an Audi wagon, so that was my daily for a while.
That I remember.
Yeah, had the Audi wagon. That thing was actually awesome. I love that.
Even though it understeers like every
Oh.
other VW product, it is.
Goodness, the understeer was awful. But
I mean,
funny story. So I pick up my buddy. He's like a little bit in the bag. He's had some drinks. And I'm like, let's go drifting. So we go out to a parking lot and like I start drifting it, but like I feel the understeer, I count for it, blah, blah, that kind of thing. Just lots of e-brake to get the back end sliding out to kind of compensate for it. And he's never really driven a all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive car before. He had a rally art, so front-wheel drive, nothing special. And I'm like, okay, well, you've had a couple of drinks, but we're in a parking lot, whatever. It's a bunch of snow. And I'm like, okay, give her a try.
and now is this close to your house?
Yes.
I know exactly the parking lot.
Yeah.
I know the exact parking. I think it was either me and you or me and my brother that went there in a 3 Series wagon diesel.
Yep. Yeah.
Was that me and you?
That was you and I. That's when we were going to, what were we picking up? Was it tires or something like that? Or we were dropping some off and it was like
Something.
a crazy snowstorm.
And then we're just like, let's try it. And we just like, wow, X-Drive is pretty good.
I know, we were so impressed. Like,
Yeah.
I was blown away. That was such a fun drive, actually.
Then we threw the whole car into a nice mound of snow, but it was like poofy snow. It
Oh,
wasn't-
yeah. Right into it.
I was freaking out, but I'm like, no, that's fine.
I totally forgot about that.
It's only because it wasn't my car. I was freaking out. But
Yeah.
it's okay.
It happens.
But nothing happened to the car. Not even a single scratch,
No.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
But that gave me the confidence to drive any car with X-Drive. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was blown away. Like, normally when I'm in the passenger seat, I know you can drive, so I'm usually not too worried, but like I get a little uneasy not being in control. Whereas
Yeah, I'm the same way.
in the X-Drive, you're just driving, you're like, holy cow, this is
So easy.
it's amazing. Like the grip, like I'm like, I can feel the grip from the passenger seat. Like I know when these cars should generally break loose, and I'm like, it's just still going. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, let my buddy,
A4.
let my buddy drive it, and I'm like, okay, it understeers, puts it right into the snowbank, like the very first one. He's just going. I'm like, okay, pull the e-brake.
Oh, is that what the bumper thing was?
Yeah, that was the bumper thing. Yeah, so understeered
Okay.
like crazy, and then just overcorrected and went right into.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I was laughing. It was whatever. He had some drinks too, so it doesn't help. But again, it was in a parking lot. Nobody was around. Nothing
Yeah, of
was
course.
around.
You wouldn't have done it if it was with people around.
No, not
or
at all.
Cars.
Oh, definitely not.
Because this parking lot, for those who don't know, is empty. Like it is.
Oh, there's nothing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got to be purposely driving straight for a very long time to hit something.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
And I look across the parking lot, and there's 2 cops on the other side just watching us. And I'm like, whomever it was, I'm like, get in the car, let's go. Just drove away. So, I had that. I had I traded the STI for the 350Z. Had the 350Z, just wheels, suspension,
That was a great car.
exhaust. Yeah, that
Great
was a
car.
lot of fun.
To this day, I still love those things.
Right?
I might even like it more than 370.
I do too.
I don't know
I would get
why.
a 350 over a 370.
Yeah. It's just so much better looking.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it's I can't put my finger on it, but I just love him.
I know, like the lines kind of look better on the 370, but I think the 350 is just more timeless.
Yes, I think
And-
we're on the same page there.
Yeah. And that was a car when I was working in Exotic Car Tours that we took down to Cayuga.
And that was the first time I drove a Ferrari 360 that was pretty much straight piped. That turned on the alarms of all the other cars when it was started. That was interesting.
Good times.
And I think I was 21 when I drove that Ferrari.
Yeah, I would have been.
And I think we told them that we were 27 just to be like, yeah, we're actually mature people who had track experience teaching other people how to drive a...
Well, Stu knew how old I was, but I think I told him you were older because I think they had a minimum if you didn't work for them. for volunteers. So I think that's why we lied to you about your
Are they still in business?
They are, but they've renamed now. So
Okay.
I think he and his wife got a separation and some messy stuff. And I think he continued to run the business, but just rebranded it because
Right.
I think she may have technically been owner of the previous business, or her name was on it, and that's why there's.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was the first time I got to drive the 360. That was the first, and I hate that transmission, but it was so cool driving a Ferrari. And
Right.
then the R8 V10 Auto, which has probably an even worse transmission than a SMG BMW, because it was like you got to shift like 16 or 1700 RPM ahead of red line for it to red line at that RPM.
Because of how delayed it is,
It did not have Porsche's PDK in it yet,
No.
because it was still the old school one, but it geared down very quickly. But that it roared, and then that was the first time I drove the F430. That was an experience. And then the Elise, the black one.
yes, yeah, that was the Elise S. It was a
Exige. It was an Exige.
no, I don't think it was. I think it was an Elise S, but it was a sport, and in Canada, I don't think they were road legal, or maybe they were road legal, but
Because you had to jump into it, right?
I
There was
couldn't. I couldn't fit with the
No,
top
like-
on.
No. With okay, never mind. Because I'm thinking that we actually had to jump into it because the doors were like busted. That could just be me though.
Are you thinking of the Ariel Atom?
No. That is. I was just telling my buddy Danny that was the most terrifying experience of my life.
That thing accelerates like a sport bike.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're consistently fighting for traction.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, you're right. It was the
Yeah,
Exige.
it was the Exige.
Yeah.
It was like matte black.
Yeah, it was a matte black one.
Yeah, that is probably a car I would love to own one day.
I would certainly put money towards that vehicle.
Even though they're Frankenstein and a concoction of British and Japanese,
Oh, I love it.
give me all of it. But yeah, no, the Exige, and then what else was there? The two cars that I refused to drive because they're like, oh, if you take it off the track, you owe $500 to us because of the deposit thing. I did not want to drive the Corvette or the ACR.
No,
Nope.
that
Because I know they're squirrely. They're so squirrely, it's not even funny.
that ACR was awful to drive. So it was a first generation ACR, and I hated everything about it. It didn't feel nice in the driver position. Like the clutch was way too high on it. It didn't fill you with
Yeah, they didn't have Dodge did not have the racing cars down yet.
No,
like not like the new ACR.
Oh, absolutely, like phenomenal.
Have you driven it?
No, have not, but I would absolutely love to.
If you really want a leg workout, it's just like it's like a stage 3 clutch. It's just you put it in and it just kicks you right back in the teeth.
I like that.
Yeah, it's hard to find because everything is just slush.
Oh, I know. Oh, biggest pet peeve ever with modern cars is just how little feedback there is in the clutch pedal.
Yeah, it's weird though, because even like my WRX, I hopped into my buddy's M3 and I hit the clutch and it just went right through the floor. And I'm like, what the hell? But I took his M3 for I think 4 or 5 days. And then as soon as I got back into my car, it's so weird because your body gets used to the soft clutch, and then I got back into the WRX and it was just stiff. I was like, oh wow. And I look at my calf, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a little stronger than the right one. But no, those are good times. So you had the Z when we were going to Cayuga instructing.
Yep.
Supercars, that was fun. With the Aston too. There was an Aston there, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
what they have? They had the Corvette, they had the Viper, they had the Aston, they had the Exige, they had two 360s, they had a 430, they had the Gallardos, they had an Aventador, or not an Aventador,
the
Murcielago.
Yeah, the Interceptor.
Yeah,
I did not drive that one or the other one. I
And-
couldn't really care for them.
the R8, they had the Formula 2000 car, and they had the Ariel Atom. And the Ariel Atom still to this day one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, to this day, it was probably the car that made me respect speed. Like it just, when you just wide open throttle, you're fighting for traction. Even when you're driving straight, you're fighting for traction. And the crazy thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's a K20, like a boosted K20.
It was a boosted K20. Yeah, 450 horsepower in it. I forget what the Ariel Atoms weigh. I think
Nothing.
like maybe 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just put
And
big slicks on it.
Amazing noises.
Yeah, that thing was nothing but raw.
Yep.
That was just a track car, and that was phenomenal.
And then after the after the 350, you had the R33.
Yes, the R33 was a GTST, so RB25 DET single turbo. That's exactly what I wanted it for. I wanted the rear wheel drive. I didn't want the RB DETT. Primarily because I just wanted to swap the turbo for it and make about 400 horsepower, that kind of thing. I was a little wary about the RB26 just because of the turbos, the oil pump issues, that kind of thing. I didn't really want to dive into it just quite yet. So, and I wanted the rear wheel drive just for the fun of it. However, the R32 or 34 or 33, whatever, their all-wheel drive systems are pretty decent for what it is, especially given the time period they came from. So
100%.
But yeah, I really like that car. That was a lot of fun, a lot of looks, just sitting on the wrong side of the car. It's made amazing noises. Did shoot flames on occasion. Nothing crazy. Wasn't even fast, so because I never even got into a turbo on it. And I had some issues with the ECU and swapping the MAF sensor over.
What do they go for now? Like, how much are they worth now?
I don't. Yeah, R33 now. Like, I bet.
Do they go up probably?
Oh, I bet you it's worth like twice of what I paid for it.
Wow. What'd you get it for? $9,000 Canadian.
Yeah. So I bet you it's at least double now. So, and that only had like 80,000 K on it, and like there was no rust on the body.
I remember that thing was a cream puff.
Yeah,
it looked good.
So even after I stripped it out, took out the seats, put in the sparkles, everything.
And then came the 1 Series.
Yes.
Full bolt on.
The infamous 1 Series. Yeah, full bolt on, less meth. That was going to be my next step before I got into turbos or anything like that. I did want to get up to about the 700 mark because that's roughly what those blocks and bottom ends can take. And then the transmissions get a little iffy as well. But
where were you running on a quarter mile?
Spinning like crazy and
on shitty tires.
Yeah, drastically reducing my boost in first and second so I could actually leave reasonably. I was getting 12.6s. So
wow.
So I bet you with like better suspension, proper setup, slicks or like drag radials or something, probably low 12s. So
you might have even cracked the 12s because that thing was pretty light and you knew how to shift.
Yeah, it was pretty light. Launching it and just getting that down would have been certainly the biggest thing, which is funny because in today's standards, a low 12-second car is by no means fast. Like, I mean, you look at Martin's like RS3 or
doing 10s.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
But it's still fun. I mean, that for me was probably the perfect balance of power.
Oh, I agree.
Back in those days.
I did want to go more power, but that's just because I like overdoing things.
Yeah, but you know what? Even like you saw, you have Chris and you had that guy from Cambridge that wanted to race you, and you're like, no, you got to race the stock 1 Series if you want to race me. But he's like, but I'm full bolt on too. I got a special tune.
Was that Chris?
No, that was some other guy with a white. It was a white 135 with like a 1M body kit conversion with like bright green calipers.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
And then you told him, you're like, you got to race my buddy before you race me. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, not freaking out, but I'm like, dude, I'm not going to win. You're like, trust me, you're going to beat him. You have good tires. And then I race him and then beat him by quite a bit with Caitlin in the car.
Oh, I do recall that now.
And then when we were coming back, instead of going back to the lineup, he just like left.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
like I was talking to Chris, and like Chris and I think I ended up racing.
No, Chris was full bolt on as well, dual clutch N55. Right, I was N55 as well. You were N54 full bolt on.
Yes,
but I was N55 stock. But Chris's 1 Series didn't have good tires either, and I kept on beating him over and over and over again because he kept on spinning. He couldn't hook because I was running 13.1 and he was just like consistently running high 13s, low 14s. He beat me twice, but I think I misshifted once. The second time he actually did beat me by quite a bit. But.
Yeah. So, well, it's certainly a learning curve too. It's just trying to get those things out of the hole, especially with bad tires on. Like,
but you know what? A lot of people have the misconception of Oh, drag racing, you just press on the gas and you just go. It's like no,
Yeah, it's nothing close to that.
Like when the lights start going, you have to know when, because by the time you register to floor it,
oh yeah, the other person's already left.
the other person's already left, but you're gonna see that one yellow bar go into the green, and that's where you're supposed to go. But if you actually wait for a visual green light to go,
oh, you've lost the race.
You've lost the race and you've lost so much time. So you actually have to floor it before the green light comes on.
What do you mean floor it? That's not possible.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Launch it.
Oh yeah, my cue to leave when drag racing is the last yellow. As soon as I see the yellow, I'm going.
Yeah, because your brain, the delay, even though it's obviously quick, but the delay where it's saying, okay, go, is actually significant in drag racing.
Exactly. Well, especially with the physical, actually releasing the clutch, blah, blah, engaging the car, getting it to roll forward, that kind of thing. So
yeah, where drag racing, I guess, doesn't become fun is when you have, I don't know, like a GT3 or a GTR, where it's just like
release,
right?
Exactly.
Instead of you gotta throttle, feather, like you gotta.
It takes, now don't get me wrong, for the ultimate fastest speed, I understand it, but it kind of takes the whole driving. I wouldn't even say driving skill, because I don't think I could jump in a 7-second car. Yeah, an engagement certainly is gone with those vehicles.
Yeah.
However, being in a 7-second car would be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, because like I've been in a bike running like mid-10s, and that's fast.
Yeah, I remember you then got. Did you get the bike with the 1 Series?
No, sold the 1 Series, picked up the RF18, and that was the Van Diemen RF18.
Yeah, and then you were dragging on the bike, and that's where I was just blown away.
Yeah,
I was still dragging my 1 Series back then.
Yeah, and then that's when I bought my first bike, because I'm like, okay, well, I want something to go on the street, that kind of thing, have some fun while I have the work on the race car, that kind of deal. But I'm like, I don't want another car, I don't have the place to put it, blah, blah. They're usually more expensive. I can get a cheap bike, I'll have fun. So that's when I picked up the bike. And then stuck with that for a while. And driving a bike was a lot of fun, but it's not the same.
Nah, I can imagine. I'm terrified of bikes for obvious reasons, which we will not get into.
I think we should indulge in Nico's dirt bike career. Actually, it wasn't even a dirt bike. It was a pit bike.
It was a pit bike.
So
our good friend Paul won a bike by chance at a carnival. When carnivals, everyone knows, is like relatively rigged for you not to win. He somehow won.
Is that the exhibition, actually?
At
the Toronto X.
What's it called?
The Toronto X, like the exhibition.
SE, something like 3 letters. Isn't it?
Oh, CNE. CNE, yes.
Yeah. He won it at CNE, and
we also brought that back in the back of a 2004 Honda Civic, along with 4 other full tires.
Oh, dude, but the stuff we did with cars, man, it was just. I remember it was in a buddy's WRX, and I wanted some footage of this thing going sideways, but like POV from the rear. So we open up the hatch, and I literally wrap around one seatbelt, like around my one arm, one seatbelt around my other arm, like extend them, and then they like go where they're like locking into place. I'm like, okay, I think I'm safe. And then I like get someone to grab my phone. I start recording, and dude, this was the most sketchiest thing in the world. Like it was not safe at all, but it did make for some pretty cool footage that I don't have anymore. But
was this in the winter?
Of course. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy would not be doing. Yeah, no.
Well, I was gonna say, dirt road or something.
Yeah. But then dirt would be coming and flying into the trunk. That would not have been fun. But yeah, Paul won a dirt bike, and then we were having fun with it at his house, and then I decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna go for a little bit of a cruise.
Was this your first time driving a bike?
No, okay. It was my second, actually. It was my second time driving a bike, and I was driving on a road that was, you know, one of those roads that kind of curve ever so slightly, but there's still obviously like noticeable. There's a noticeable curvature. It's in a residential area.
Oh, I know exactly where it was.
And yeah, and as I'm driving the bike, it was on the road, and it was like a 2003 Nissan Maxima, and when I tell you the color, you'll know exactly what it is. It was that like golden beigey color that pretty much tells you that you don't give a shit about
the champagne. The I don't give a shit champagne.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care about my car or what it's doing or what it looks like or the condition it's in. It's just literally there to exist. And this guy was, instead of it being in his own lane, he cut into my lane and I didn't know what to do. So I moved over and he sideswiped me. Me thinking about the bike and not myself, I try and throw the bike onto the grass. And then I skip on the road like a skipping stone, which I kind of mucked up my my arms and legs, but then my chin met the curb.
Yeah, I remember that. That's what we brought you to the hospital for. Yeah, because wasn't it just dangling?
No. It wasn't like there was.
Or it was split open.
It was just split open pretty bad, and you guys, it was starting to get dark, and all you hear is in the background because I'm dragging the pocket bike, or the pit bike, because I had a locked wheel since I crashed it the day after you guys won it, and off to the hospital we go, only to stay there for 12 hours without being admitted, so you can be like, well, if we looked at it right when it happened, we could probably stitch it up, but at this point, just put some polysporin on it. I'm like, I could have been at home doing this, but cool, thanks.
So they didn't even glue it or anything. They didn't stitch it.
Nothing. He just looks at it and he's just like, here, let me put a little bit of polysporin. Here's a tube of polysporin. You'll be fine.
No kidding. Scar to this day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't grow hair there. So, yeah. Great times.
Yeah.
So you had the bike and then you moved on.
Yep. Moved on. Well, on multiple bikes. And trying to think. I swear I know there's definitely a bunch of other cars in there that were missing. But
the exciting cars were pretty much like...
Yeah, those were, for the most part, they were covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of other cars that were just awful, like the SRT, the 300C, the Saturn,
Yeah. So after the 1 Series, that was pretty much it.
That was pretty much it, other than the race car. And then...
Decatted? Was that thing decatted, the 1 Series?
Oh, yeah, it was completely straight piped. Yeah. There was no cat. There was no cats. There was no resonator. There was no muffler.
So that's why it shot flames.
Yeah.
So... Theoretically, if I want my S2000 to shoot a flame,
potentially it's a little more difficult when they're not turbocharged
because it's a lawnmower engine.
Well, not so much the lawnmower. They're just not dumping fuel in at an extreme rate.
But if it's boosted, then it actually has. Yeah, okay, I get it.
So you usually run a little more rich, and then when you let off that kind of thing, you have a little bit more fuel that kind of gets
dumped
shot in, and then as soon as the wastegate and stuff closes, it just goes through the exhaust. So that's why you get really cool noises out of turbo. Yeah. So yeah, that was a majority of it. We had a lot of fun times in those vehicles.
Yeah. We automotive wise, we grew up together.
Yes.
With cars. That's how we met.
We met at PJ's house.
That was the first time I drove a Supra.
Yeah. PJ's house. That was where were we going?
We were probably going to Urtefa.
No, I think it was a car. No, it was CSCS, wasn't it? Because it was a full day thing, and I remember being really hot, and we were sweaty, and like you guys stayed over. It was like Saturday night, you guys stayed over, and then I met you guys there Sunday morning. Ilya came with me. You drove down with whomever.
No, dude, we went to Toronto. I'm pretty sure we went.
Was it Toronto?
We all went to Toronto. I'm pretty sure it was Urtefa. It was a meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the CSCS was no. That wasn't it. Because we all went to, I remember because PJ's car was the ESS supercharged E92 M3. Mm-hmm. And it caught a lot of people's attention back then because that was like relatively new. Yeah,
it must have been one of the Urtefa meets then. Yeah.
When car meets were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then people started, that was the start of the end where people started being stupid and racing and doing burnouts and two-stepping.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love it from like an enthusiast standpoint. I love seeing it, but there's a time and a place for everything in a car meet, and showing off in a parking lot with a whole bunch of other people is not it.
With old people that are going to be calling it in? No.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, it's cool and everything like that, but it's not really that impressive until you can bring it on the track and actually show what you can do.
Hang on. Did we go to Urtefa and then stay in Toronto at John's and Fahad's to go to the runs?
I never stayed at John and Fahad's. We went to the runs before, but I never stayed.
That was the first time I had an energy drink. That was fun. We stayed up until like 4.
Yeah, I think I'd only ever been to John's house, just out in the front yard. I don't think I've ever been inside John's house.
Yeah.
And that's when he had the red 370 automatic.
We had to make that. Like, it was an automatic. But you know what? In all fairness, he's in Toronto.
He is.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
I get
if
it
you...
too.
The 401 in Toronto is I think it's North America's busiest section of the highway.
It is.
So having a manual, I know that pain because every time I go down there with any car, because I've only had manual, it sucks.
Oh yeah, big
It's
time.
not fun.
The amount of times going to visit my parents and you're sitting in traffic for like 3 hours and you're moving.
And then you can smell the clutch even though you're doing everything right.
You can feel heat radiating off the transmission, everything. Like, it's so bad.
But yeah, no, that's why he drives an auto. But now he has an S2. He's actually one of the very few people that got me into the S2. It was him and Gary.
Oh, I remember Gary. Yeah. It's been so long, I honestly forget more than what I remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to get all of them on the show because honestly, I was talking to my buddy the other day and then he's like, "Oh, have you ever driven a right-hand drive car?" And I'm like, "I don't think I'm like," and then I stop. I'm like, "Wait a minute. I did. I drove Nick Guinness's Supra."
Oh yeah, he
had
white, right?
No, it was a black Mark IV 2JZ. Like it was a proper Supra, and this thing was clean too.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Chaz had the white R33. That's what I was thinking of. So, do you know Chaz?
Chaz.
Chaz?
Yeah, Shaz.
Shaz.
Yeah. Shaz's brother. He had two.
He had the R33, and then his brother had the 2 Supras. I think one was a parts car, and I think
so Shaz's brother had the 2 Supras, and then yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
I think Shaz has a Datsun.
Yes, he does. Was it 270?
I want to say it's a 240.
Is it a 240? Yeah,
still gangster.
Yeah,
still gangster.
Unreal. He has a rap business now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he was with Paul, and then Paul ended up doing his own thing, and then Shaz ended up staying, and I think he's doing well for himself. So
yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
I
haven't seen anybody. It's just been a blur of work.
I hear you on that. Like, I can't remember. Well, the last time I saw you was what, last summer? 2 summers ago? Was
it? Because I feel like it's been like 4 years.
I drove one of my bikes over. I think my Husqvarna and I drove over, so that would have been 2 summers ago.
Where?
It would have been your parents' house. We had a barbecue.
Yeah, you know what? It might have been. Yeah.
And I've seen Martin since. I haven't seen you guys. Can't remember the last time I saw Yulia. It was probably the same time.
Yeah, no, I remember. Because barbecues, I used to invite everybody over, as many car guys, just so I can have like a car-related event for a year, because meets were just garbage.
Yeah.
Everybody was bringing their Chevy Cruzes that they cut the springs on and roll their fenders with a baseball bat, and then, put some...
Especially in our area.
Plasti dip. But, I mean, hey, to each their own, if that's what gets you going, but...
Yeah, and you know what? Like, everybody has different budgets. Like, right, not everybody can go out and buy an expensive car. Everybody's in a different situation. So, like, I totally get it. You do whatever you can. Do whatever makes you happy. It is what it is. Just own it. Enjoy it.
It's crazy to me to think that, there's a lot of guys that save up, I don't know, 5 to 10K of pointless modifications / repairs on their car, where they can just use that money to buy a better car.
Right. Well, it depends on the car, because I'm totally okay with owning a complete bag of shit because it's really cool and unique. So
no, don't get me wrong. There's that, but I'm saying, like, there's guys that I see, for example, that'll buy a 328 and they'll say, I want to lower it. I want to put an exhaust on it. I want to put an intake on it. I want to do this. They want to do that.
They want to make it an M3, and then they could have just bought an M3 for much cheaper. Yeah.
With maybe a little bit higher mileage, or even a 335, 340, whatever you want to do.
Something.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Reliability wise, different, but I mean, does matter. But I do miss the old school BMWs. Yes. And when I say old school, I mean like
E36.
E36, E46, E90.
Yeah.
That's for me, like now,
Yeah.
compared to what's out now. Yeah, those were.
Which is crazy to think like an E90 is old now. Because to me, that still feels like a newer car.
Well, it is, but it's like the last analog car they've ever had.
I guess I'm still stuck in the past. Like, I think like my Ford Edge, the beater is like a 2007. And I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't bad at all. Like, I have controls on the steering wheel again. This is amazing. I'm just blown away with it.
Oh, dude, like for me, I've noticed I've actually gained an appreciation of being a minimalist when I bought the AWRX, because I'm seeing like everybody wanting nav and everybody getting this, and when I'm selling a car, it's like it has to have lane departure. I'm like, why do you need lane departure?
I hate it. The girlfriend had a rental over the summer.
Has to have it.
And like it had the lane assistant and stuff like that. I hated it. Like every time I'm just driving, I'm trying to like avoid a stick in the road. The thing beeps and vibrates at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know how to drive a car. Like I was probably driving before half these engineers were even out doing anything. Like,
but that's my point is when people, when I sat in the RSX, when I had my RSX, I thought I wanted nav. I thought I wanted like, satellite radio. Whatever the tech was at that time, or even today, I thought I wanted it. And now that I have a nav, now that I have a touchscreen, now that I have, all these things, I'm just like, I don't need, give me Bluetooth for my audio and phone. Get me a, window, sunroof if it comes, sure. Half decent stereo system, call it a day. Okay, heated seats, sure. I'm driving in the winter.
Yeah, I do.
But literally, like the S2000 is so minimal. It's perfect. And how ergonomical everything is, just it's like the passenger, it's kind of said like, hey, you're here to just enjoy yourself. Don't touch anything, because you literally have no cup holders in the car, no glove box. The passenger can't even access the radio because it's all on the left hand side of the steering wheel. So, and it's like, oh, you want the heat up? Let me do it, because it's out of reach for you. So literally, there's nothing the passenger can control except for the door handle and the window.
And that's, well, just there because it's required.
But that's how it should be.
Yeah, 100%. It's there to say, hey, we need to focus on the drive. This is all about the experience. This is not about a vehicle to just get you from point A to point B.
Which
this is something special.
Yeah, and now that they're kind of teasing a new S2, will it be that? It's hard to say.
See, that's the thing. I'm always disappointed with all the new releases, like the new Supra. It's cool.
I like it. I'd still get it. I'd still drive it. But is it in a Mark IV? No. Can it replace one? No. Now, can it do what because keep in mind, the Mark IV Supra, when it came out, that was not a popular car until Fast and Furious came out. And then people started seeing like, okay, this engine is literally bulletproof. Like,
yeah, you can throw whatever you want.
You can drop it into a country and it'll probably blow the country up and still be intact. Like, I'm telling you, it's I've never seen an engine like the 2JZ. And the potential that it has. Like, it's competing against GTRs.
Yeah.
Like R35s. It's ridiculous.
And it's what, 20?
Yeah.
93.
Yeah. It's old.
Yeah.
But like, granted, the B58 is a very good engine built by BMW. Very good. Doesn't have the potential that the 2JZ has, but for today's day and age, definitely has.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not a phenomenal car. I think it is in its own right, but I don't know if I had both in my garage, even if they were both the same power level, same everything, I think I would still go probably 99% of the time to the Supra.
I would go 100% of the time.
Yeah. I might just take it out.
It's more connected. It's just the connection with the road. You don't get that feeling with the electronic steering rack. And I mean, I keep on beating this dead horse, but I mean, handbrake stick, you just can't find that today.
No.
Right?
I think any manufacturer that continues to make manual is at least doing somewhat of their part to keep the driving experience alive. Because don't get me wrong, like I just had a GTI which had a DSG in it, and it was first generation DSG for Volkswagen, but or first or second generation. It was still pretty early. Like there's certainly bugs in it, but it did really well. Like I really enjoyed it. Would I prefer a manual? Probably, yeah. For just a daily driver that I was never going to do a lot to it, I did an intake and a tune on it. That was it. And if I was going to keep it just at that point, sure, I would still be content with the DSG if I was ever going to have it as like a weekend driver or like a spirited car or something like that. Yeah, I certainly would have been a manual.
Like, keep in mind, I commute, but for me, it's just second nature to shift. Like, do you ever get that when you're actually thinking, like, I didn't really tell my body to, like, put it in fourth.
Oh,
I just do it.
Most of the time when I was driving standard, I wouldn't think about it at all.
I just know. I just do.
I don't think, like, I just focus on the road, to focus on, like, what's in front of me, like, looking ahead, kind of scanning traffic, that kind of thing. Like, in terms of the actual fundamentals of driving the car, I don't think really about what I do. Even when I'm in a situation where, like, if I'm drifting or something like that, I don't think about touching the brake.
It's almost second nature.
Yeah, I need to slow down. Body takes care of it. And then my head and like my brain's just looking, okay, where am I going to be going next? Where do I need to steer to? Like, just keep my eyes and my brain focused on that point. My body just knows what to do.
But now what I'm saying is your body can't do that with newer cars today.
No, they can't. And actually, funny enough, the first couple times driving the DSG with the paddle shifters, like, Ricky Bobby, I don't know what to do with my hands. That's literally me. I'm coming through and I'm like, downshift. And I'm overthinking everything. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, why can't I'll just heel toe, just give me the gear shift and then no problem. But like the shifts, I'm like, oh, am I going to downshift too early? Am I going to over rev? Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, there's kind of a delay there on the downshift, so a little earlier this time, and then...
If anything, there's more analytics in an automatic than a manual.
Yeah, like...
It's weird.
And there, I don't know, like with a manual and stuff like that and having the clutch, you can control, like even if you miss a downshift and you're like over revving, you can just quickly clutch back right in, right? And like keep the motor from overspinning or at least minimize if you're quick enough. So...
Well, I definitely love to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like there's a lot more we can talk about.
Oh, there definitely is, but I don't want to lose, like, people have the attention span of,
Oh yeah, we can't go on.
We can't. I mean, it's just so hard to like pick up where you left off and whatnot. So I'm trying to keep it around an hour.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, definitely. And then each conversation can kind of be its own, that kind of thing, because we can get into watches, beer, alcohol.
Oh, we haven't even touched on watches.
I know.
We have to touch on watches next time.
Oh, we'll definitely get into watches.
Oh yes.
So, speaking of this wrist check, Garmin Instinct.
Really?
Yeah, it's my new kind of go-to, just beater everyday watch, because I got really upset with anytime I scratched any of my other watches, even if they were cheap.
Why don't you buy a Seiko SKX 007?
I had one, actually. I sold it. I had two.
That's my ultimate beater watch. That's my vacation watch. That is my watch that gains and loses time magically, even when I demagnetize it. It's just something that it's the longest watch I've ever owned. And it's just a tank.
I have a Seiko as my work watch, actually mechanical, which is funny because I poured a whole bunch of concrete over it this past week. It gets hit off everything.
Dude, they're bulletproof.
And funny enough, like over a span of a week, it's probably only out maybe 30 to 45 seconds a day.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and like I probably should have broken this thing a couple times with hitting it off stuff.
Like I know that every single watch collector will have an SKX 007 or an SKX 009.
100%. Like I miss my like Alpinist, that kind of thing. I really like that one. I had my whole collection was pretty much Seikos.
Really?
Yeah. So
did you get a chance to look at the SKX 007J?
I've seen it.
It's pretty much the same thing, but they're made specifically in Japan.
Oh, it's just the Japanese. It's the KMG date wheel and everything on it, and then the different movement. Yeah, so they have the Japanese movement in it. It's not the Malaysian. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I got all my groomsmen SKX 007s.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and since Celia already had a 007J, which I still to this day regretfully traded him. I got him a Seiko Hulk.
Oh, that's cool.
The Prospects. So that was a little more expensive, but was.
It's also your brother. So
yeah, it's also my brother. It's definitely worth it. But I traded that SKX 007J, and I bought this thing it was a pretty good price from it was from a friend of mine, and I traded it for his SNA 411. So his Flight Master Seiko. It's like a Navitimer, but it's smaller in a Seiko form. And I also got a Seagull.
No kidding.
Have you heard of a Seagull?
I've heard of them. I don't really remember them that well. Didn't really look that much into it.
So it's like a patina dial with a with a red star.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
and
think I know the one
blue
you're talking about.
hands, and it's a chronograph.
Yeah,
and
I
it's-
think I know exactly the one you're talking
It
about.
is sick. It's just so many colors, but actually works. So yeah, we'll talk
That's
about
pretty
watches
cool.
next.
Yeah, exactly. We could get into this quite a bit, especially, yeah. I got into a little bit of watchmaking, that kind of thing.
No, I remember you told
Yeah.
me.
Still have some projects on the go. Haven't really touched them for a while, but
We'll bring them over next time, and
Yeah.
I'll show you what I got, and then we'll go from there.
sounds good.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine.